This morning, yet another reminder not to leave anything of value in your vehicle. Deputies made an arrest in what appears to be a team of burglars breaking into cars in the Alamo Ranch area. Charlie Cooper is live downtown this morning. And Charlie, how did police finally catch up to this group?
Well, good morning, Sarah. Police say on May 28th, a group of 3 people decided to go and take what they wanted, essentially, from this particular neighborhood. Actually, it was the Elijah Stop neighborhood, and one neighbor called deputies saying that 3 people, 2 on foot, 1 in a car, were pulling at car handles and stealing things from people's cars. Now, one of those people was identified as Catherine Trinidad Martinez. When police finally caught up to that car, they found credit cards, wallets, and purses that did not belong to the driver. He ended up telling deputies he was forced to drive as the other 2 people broke into those vehicles, and now all 3 of those people are being charged with engaging in in organized crime. Back to you.